Verse 15, want to ready go? And the Lord said to Moses, why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward. So these people were used to murmurings and complaints. They had been delivered from great things. They had seen the deliverance of the Lord, but they faced the next difficulty and they were complaining. They were murmuring, grumbling. They continued in that lifestyle. They didn't stop. Just a few chapters later, in chapter 16, they were faced with thirst. They needed water. Chapter 17 rather, verse 1. Chapter 16, they needed food. Food came. Or let's see 15 first. 15 first. Because their story was a story of murmurings. Verse 22. Then we see verse 17. 16 is where they needed food. They complained again. 17, they needed water again. Verse 22. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea. Then they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went there 3 days. They went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. Now when they came to Marah, they could not drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Marah. And the people complained against Moses, saying, what shall we drink? They complained and said, what shall we drink? So he cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree. When he cast it into the waters were sweet. In chapter 16, verse 1, and they journeyed from Elim, and all the congregation of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they departed from the land of Egypt. Then the whole congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said to them, oh, that we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the pots of meat, and when we ate bread to the full. You are fools. You just don't know. You say anybody that is not grateful is a great fool. Not far from the truth. For you have brought us out into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. That was their problem. That was their problem. They said we should have died by the hand of the Lord in Egypt. It was better to die there. At least we had meat. We sat by the pot of meat. Even though they were taskmasters, that didn't matter so much, as long as there was food to eat. And every time they complained, the Lord supplied. In the next chapter 17, same thing again. Then all the congregation, verse 1. Then all the congregation of Israel set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the commandment of the Lord, and camped in Rephidim. But there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore the people contended with Moses and said, give us water that we may drink. So Moses said to them, why do you contend with me? Why do you tempt the Lord? And the people thirsted for water. People thirsted there for water. And the people complained against Moses and said, why is it you have brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst? Let's read verse 4 together. 1, 2, ready, go. So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, what shall I do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me. What a life. Some people practically live their lives this way, complaining and grumbling. And that is what forgetfulness does to you. Every time these guys had issues, the Lord was supplying. He was making a way. But they seem to have forgotten all the things that God had done for them. They still murmured and grumbled every time they reminded Moses how Moses had made a mistake by bringing them out of Egypt. You should have left us there. You should have left us in Egypt. Things were better in Egypt. Some people are like that. I should have just been like this. I should have just done this. Now I am going through much more. but you have forgotten the goodness of God to you. In Numbers 11, you see this generation again, still full of complaints. Numbers 11. They didn't stop, they kept complaining till they really ran into trouble. Numbers 11. Verse 1. Numbers 11 verse 1. Are you there? Now and the people complained. It displeased the Lord, for the Lord heard it. And his anger was aroused. So the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed some in the outskirts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and when Moses prayed to the Lord, the fire was quenched. So he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord had burned among them. Taberah means burning. Verse 4. Now the multitude, the mixed multitude who were among them, yielded to intense craving. So the children of Israel also wept again and said, who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish which we ate freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. Garlic? Ah, who loves garlic except you cook it in meals? That thing smells horribly. Some people eat garlic. They will tell you it's good. Listen, please don't come close to me having eaten garlic. So the taste is, or the smell is so appalling. So they were craving onions, lemons, or melons rather, cucumber. That's what they craved. He said, but now, verse 6, our whole being is dried up. They needed action. They needed something. There is nothing at all except this manna before our eyes. Bread every day. Now, it's not actually easy. 40 years eating bread is not easy, to be candid. So before you blame them, you probably do worse. Imagine that you ate the same food every day of the month, just 1 month. What would you do? Well, I know that if you give me rice every day, I won't complain. I like rice a lot. The same form, different forms, I'm okay. I can eat it. But bread, I can't stand it for a day. I can manage for 1 day, but don't give me tomorrow, or I'll complain. So look at these guys. Onions, leek, garlic. If you look at their complaints and analyze their complaints, it's gibberish. Like a crazed monkey spitting gibberish. Didn't make sense. Of all the things, it is garlic and onions you are missing. We are talking about your slavery, people enslaving you, killing your sons. You are missing garlic. You are complaining about garlic. That's the way some of you are. Because you are not eating 4 square meals or 3 square meals, there are better things that got them. Balaam was going to curse them. God turned it around to a blessing. God stood by them, gave them pillar of cloud by day, gave them pillar of fire by night to put and keep them safe. Those were angelic presence in their midst. He said he suffered no one to do them wrong. He rebuked kings for their sake. He said, touch not my anointed. Do my prophets no harm. Do my people no harm. He was talking to Israel in Psalms 95. So that's what God did. The Bible says sometimes when Israel was moving through the wilderness, the terror of God will fall on all the surrounding cities. They will not be able to touch them. People were so scared of them when they were moving because they were God's chosen people. That was God's firstborn there. But of all things, they were missing flimsy things. As where many of you are. You are not wearing the best clothes. You are not wearing the nicest clothes. You probably don't use the best phone or best gadgets. But you are still complaining. Whereas there are many more things that God has done for you. Those that have better gadgets, some can't even use them. Some don't even have the fingers to use them. Some are not even in the right state of mind to use all the money that they are making. Some are making money and they are spending them on drugs. Buying drugs every day, living practically on drugs. But you are breathing free. Any slight headache, the moment you sleep or just rest or shake it off, I like that. If there's a headache, just shake your head, the thing flies off. Many people are like that. They are spending the money, they can't even use the money. You are earning 30, 40,000, you are spending it on yourself. You are not paying bills or debts. Some people are earning millions and their family is taking at least 70, 80% of the money. You, no family is bothering you. There's no problem. Some people are they already have an amount that they are spending week in, week out on things that drain finances. But because in your own finances, you don't have so much, you are still grumbling. So you have to be forgetful for you to be a murmurer, for you to be a complainer. And God doesn't want us to be like that. Don't suffer amnesia. Tell your neighbor, say, don't suffer amnesia when it comes to the things of God. Because these Israelites were foolish. What was more precious than freedom from slavery? Food. So you wanted to be eating while being a slave. What was more important? What was more prized than freedom from slavery? And yet this freedom doesn't seem to be a big deal to them. So don't be a complainer. A forgetful person is a complainer.